Has the X-Man Bishop been an Omega level mutant this entire time? And just as important, are the Children of the Vault even working together? What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Right now, I'm talking about Children of the Vault #2, written by Denise Camp, with art by Luca Maresca, and color by Carlos Lopez. This issue is something that I was incredibly blown away by, just off the virtue of that, this is a series I've actually talked about before, that in the previous video, that it was something that I wasn't sure exactly what I was gonna get. And now that it's here and seeing exactly what the creative team has on offer, it just makes this comic that much more interesting. So I said at the very beginning of this video, is Bishop an Omega level mutant? Well, that's a loaded question, but we actually see Bishop in this issue do some things that we've never seen him do before. I've already done a video in the past breaking down all of the abilities of Bishop, what he is capable of, what he is not capable of. I've done that before, so go check out that video up here if you want to know more about that in any like granular detail. While in this issue, Bishop is depicted as having power on levels we have never seen him depicted as having before. We have seen his power change over the years. For those who are unfamiliar, Bishop's mutant power is that he can absorb energy directed at him and then use that energy for various purposes. He can use it to redirect as an energy blast. He can use it to fuel his own strength and durability and speed. And we've also seen him be able to absorb types of energy that weren't just simple energy attacks, that he can also absorb kinetic energy or like physical energy, like from punches, kicks, and other types of physical blows. He can absorb that too, no different than the Hellfire Club's Sebastian Shaw. He can even absorb magic, but once again, go up there and check out that and you'll see what I'm talking about. But in this issue, we've seen him do something that's incredibly different. Not only is he able to absorb energy, but he also seems able to sense it and see it in ways almost kind of like Neo in the Matrix. They say like, oh, you can just see the coding in the Matrix, you just see the Matrix for what it is. That's kind of what Bishop can do with energy. We see him just casually walking up to the old Westchester mansion in this, while at this particular point it's surrounded by Orcus guards because they assume that at some point a mutant, whether it's the X-Men or just some random mutant that's left behind from the Hellfire Gala, well, they figure one of those mutants is going to come walking up to this mansion thinking that it's going to be some kind of a secret safe haven, or I guess in this case it would be not so secret, which to be fair, no mutant is actually hiding out there. The only X-Man that has been depicted as hiding out in the old Westchester mansion is Danger, and Danger is not a mutant. As a matter of fact, Danger doesn't want anything to do with mutants right now, other than the fact that she's living in the X-Mansion right now with a bunch of robotic clones of the X-Men, but don't think too hard about it. When Bishop is casually walking up to the old X-Mansion, he's just surreptitiously feeling out the energy fields of all of Orcus's surveillance tech, like billions and billions of dollars worth of surveillance tech, and Bishop is able to simply shut it down by taking the energy that it's sending out towards him and making it appear as though there's nothing there. Even mentioning that there's a fine line between how he has to manipulate the energy fields around himself so that when that tech latches onto his signal, it doesn't see him, because he could just as easily give off too much energy to the point where it actually gives away that something is there, that maybe the tech doesn't actually see him, but it recognizes that there's something that's supposed to be there that it's not recognizing, like blank space where there should be something there. And then if he gives off too little, he'll just simply be seen. This is a big deal because this is power we have never seen Bishop wield before. We've never seen Bishop depicted as having this type of an ability. So this is big and major news for him as a character. The rumblings I've seen online when this issue came out was, oh, this must mean that he's Omega level now. And I don't want to be the one to say this, but apparently I'm gonna have to be the one to say this. Bishop is not. He's not an Omega level mutant. I'm sorry, he's not. And it's not because I don't want him to be. So I don't want anyone to come into the comments thinking, oh no, you're just being a hater, Blerd. You're just being a hater because you don't like Bishop. I want to be clear on something. I don't hate Bishop. I just didn't like him when I was a kid. I actually have no problem with Bishop these days. I thought Bishop back in the early days of X-Men was just a little bit too aggro and too much of an angry black male stereotype back in the 90s. Nowadays, he's actually written a lot better, and I actually enjoy him more now than I did then. The reason why I'm putting cold water on this is because one thing people forget about Bishop is that to be an Omega level mutant, you must not have an upper limit. And in the past, and granted it's been a while, but in the past, he has been depicted as having an upper limit. There's only so much energy that Bishop can absorb, and in times past, you have to go back no further than the Marvel Comics event Civil War. Bishop absorbed so much energy that it almost killed him. And we've even seen more recently where he's absorbed so much energy that he had to exhaust it, that he had to get rid of it. If Bishop were an Omega level mutant, he would be able to absorb energy to the point that it wouldn't even matter. He could literally be force-fed energy for days, hours, months on end, and wouldn't have to exhaust it without fear of exploding. So no, he's not an Omega level mutant, because that is the very definition of having a limit. Now, it's not to say that something couldn't happen a little later in this story or future X-Men stories where it's revealed his power has evolved enough to where he can actually absorb those elements and not have any kind of blowback or explosion or have to exhaust anything. But for right now, we haven't seen that. So to call him an Omega level mutant now, just because he got a new ability that we've never seen him use before, that's not the case. And trust me, no one wants to see Bishop be an Omega level mutant more than me, because I actually thought his power was always really cool, despite the fact that he was such a weird and stereotypical character back in the 90s. I thought the power was cool. I just thought the person wielding it was a bit of an asshole. Now, it's okay. Bishop is not Omega level. That's not the worst thing in the world. But you know what can make you Omega level is hitting that like button. Hitting that like button proves that you are, in fact, an Omega level mutant, and not only that, clicking that subscribe button as well as tapping that notification bell, so that way you don't miss out on any of my videos breaking down all the X-Men comics as well as other comics from Marvel and DC and wherever else. That inducts you into Earth's mightiest subscribers. Not to mention, it's free. You're still here by this point in the video. Go ahead and do it. That said, that's not the only big thing that we get in this issue. We actually learn a great deal about the Children of the Vault, something that, well, yes, technically, I figured we were gonna get, but I didn't think we were gonna get this in particular. We learn in this issue that the Children of the Vault, now known as the Children of Tomorrow, this is their new public face, is that there's a civil war amongst them, one that's been waging for centuries. While yes, they do seem to be working in a united front in order to get humanity on their side, to appear as though they're the new saviors of humanity, that is all a facade, as one might imagine, but it's a facade that had to be decided on. There's a lot going on here with the Children of Tomorrow that actually, and I know some people could be like, oh, Blerd's about to make it political, but if you can look at what they're doing right now and not see this as political commentary, I want the edibles that you're eating. I want that good shit, the shit that makes you forget all logic and reason. That's how high I want to be. That said, there is a divide amongst the Children of Tomorrow, and this divide is very much in the vein of a left-leaning and right-leaning divide. It's a divide of ideologies where we have two different factions. One that is referred to as the Elevationists, and the Elevationists are about what you would imagine. The Elevationists, for all intents and purposes, they don't want to fight with humanity, not because they don't think they can win. They know they can win. They also believe that they can, as their name would imply, elevate human society. There's one problem with that, and we'll get to that problem in just a minute, because first, I also want to bring up the other side. They're called the Traditionalist. That name might come off sounding almost like a conservatist. You would be right. These are the Children of Tomorrow who don't give a damn about humanity. They believe that humanity should be conquered, that they should not be wasting their time and their resources helping elevate humanity, when the Children of Tomorrow could simply use their power to help themselves and nobody else but themselves. All they want to do is prove their own superiority, as they feel they have done for the last 100,000 years. Now, I mentioned that there was a problem with what the Elevationists are trying to do, trying to uplift humanity. Remember, in the previous video that I released for Children of the Vault #1, you can check it out up here if you have not done so already, but in that video, I mentioned there was a sort of virus that the Children of Tomorrow had put out into the world, and this virus, while it's kind of a hodgepodge of various viruses that have existed across the Marvel Comics universe for the last decade or more, depending on which virus or whatever we're talking about, the point here is that this virus that has been put together is less a virus and more of an evolutionary serum. This viral agent is capable of evolving those who are infected by it into Children of Tomorrow. That said, only 1% of any of humanity is actually capable of surviving that evolutionary process. And that is kind of where the rub comes in here. And there are definitely Children of Tomorrow that you see in this issue that, whether or not they're an elevationist or traditionalist remains to be seen. However, there are moments where we see that not all of them want to kill humanity, but they know that ultimately they have to. They have no choice. Regardless of how they feel about humanity and all the things that they would be destroying in getting rid of them, they still have to do it. And while yes, the elevationist and the traditionalist of the Children of Tomorrow are at war with one another over these ideologies, the reality here is that the elevationist won out, hence why we're here in Children of the Vault #1 and 2, where it's revealed that this virus even exists in the first place. The elevationists won out. They won out by being able to give humanity their technology, essentially making everyone in humanity better than what they ever were before, giving them all the things we talked about in that previous issue, giving them ways to extend their own life, how to have technology that makes their lives that much more simple. And all of that was just a Trojan horse to get that virus into their system. And eventually, if not stopped by both Bishop and Cable, humanity could be whittled down to just its 1%. And when I say 1%, we're not even talking about the rich. This issue has a lot of really awesome and honestly pretty wild stuff going on this. We see Cable using his telepathy and telekinesis more than I think we've ever seen him use it in recent memory. We get to see Bishop be a badass. And we also learn that the Children of Tomorrow aren't the well-oiled machine that I think we've been led to believe. There are fractures amongst them. And honestly, I feel like we're gonna see those fractures come into play here very, very soon, especially considering that Cable and Bishop now know exactly how to get to the Children of Tomorrow, know their access codes, know their plan, and ultimately know how to stop them. That's everything I wanted to talk about with Children of the Vault #2. If you enjoyed this video, do the YouTube thing, like, share, comment, subscribe, and make sure you tap that notification bell because I post new videos throughout the week, plus live stream every Saturday. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, let me know what you thought about Children of the Vault #2. Keep it plus ultra, and sound off in the comments.